Aloha. We're here again at Waikalua Loko I'a, our beloved fish pond that we've all had a connection with. And we're very happy today to have again Kauhua Lucas, Willis Motooka, and our senior Kūpuna, Uncle Fred Takebayshi, who has some wonderful stories and probably goes back the furthest of any of us in terms of a physical connection to this place. So, Uncle Fred, do you want to kind of share with us some of your stories about some of your first connections to Waikalua, and then maybe a little bit about your reconnection with us years later? Go ahead.
Well, to put some thing, I was born on a fish pond up this way. I was born actually at the fish pond. And the first time I came to know Waikalua fish pond was when I started school, because my dad used to drive us from our place to the beach park over there. We used to walk up to the school during the day, and oftentimes to go back, if the weather was bad, like windy, we had to backtrack and walk and come on down, cross the street over there, walk on the fish pond bank here, either the Mauka side or the Makai side. And that's, as a kid, and of course I had two brothers and a sister ahead of me, so it was a group of about 13 children that were together, and they experienced being here. And so it was like coming down, and then the fish pond bank here on the Makai, the bank went all the way over there, and this was actually the pond itself. This was filled later on, so that's a little bit different. But
Fred, before you go any further, can you tell me how your father brought you to this area?
So it wasn't he wasn't driving. When you say driving, it wasn't a car. It was a
boat.
A boat.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
okay.
it was boat that way. After you cannot ride that boat, you walk. Then you walk the bank here.
Okay.
Yeah. So there would be about 13 of us kids, school kids. So coming home, we walk across the stream on the bank over there, and walk up this way. And then when we came to the corner there, it was decided, well, we go this way or that way, we go that way or this way. And we never split, but we would go. And that side was the Mauka side, and we would walk there on the bank all the way around and up to the corner on this end, and then walk to the next abandoned fish pond that's over there, still there, and then walk all the way home. And that happened oftentimes, that it was like a natural thing.
What year would you estimate that would be? Like what year?
It would be, I don't know,
It was before the war?
Huh?
It was before the war. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Which war?
Okay.
1941.
No.
So
World War II,
Yeah.
1941.
I gotta figure it out. I was born in 1927. Started school when I was 6 years old, so add 6 to...
That's 1933. You were 6 years old in 1933.
Yeah, that's the first time. But my brothers preceded me as far as going to school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it would be the 30s then.
In the 30s.
Yeah, in the 30s, right. Yeah. And it was always an experience, because if we walk that way, we would come across and there'd be a makaha over there. We could see the water coming in. Then we got further over, they could see the water coming from the corner over there.
From Kawa Stream?
Yeah, from the Kauai Street.
Yeah.
And then we would walk up this way and then back that shoreline all the way to home. But other days that we go this way, we would be walking out there because that's where the bank was, you know. The fish pond bank was way back there.
Oh.
This was fish pond bank. This was fish pond.
This,
So-
Water.
No.
This was water.
So
Yeah.
Kaneohe Stream wasn't there.
Yeah, way over there. So we walked this way. And there would be all the makahas that you see here were there at that time too. So it was always fun because we would look in there and see fish in there and things like that. And there was a shack halfway about past the second makaha where Mr. Nakamura was living, who was working with the fish pond. And for us it was a big thing because he would always have candy or gums or things like for us. And he would greet us and he was always smiling and he would greet us and talk to us and we'd stop a little while and walk. But it was always a good fun thing because everybody was together, you know. Yeah. So that was way back when.
Was Mr. Nakamura
So,
a fish pond operator?
no, he was working at the fish pond.
Oh, I see.
The fish pond was run by the Nagamatsu family, and they lived right where over there.
the
Yeah.
old house?
Yeah. Yeah.
Nagamatsu.
Huh?
Nagamatsu.
Nagamatsu. And they ran the fish pond. Yeah. So that was the beginning of my knowing them. And much later, much later, after all those years, she recruited us to work at the fish pond.
Kahua.
Kahua. She was a bestseller. But I was sold already. I had graduated and all that. I had retired. So it was 86. And before she asked for volunteers to come and work here, I was standing in line. I'm the first guy. I wanted to be there. No, I honestly wanted to be here and I got here. And I think the records will show that once I got on board, I think I got about 5 days a week, half the,
What year was that, roughly? Kahua.
well,
But he's,
somewhere after 86.
because
Yeah.
When we did the first Kahea Loko training, I remember it was in the 2000,
so
2001
we started
or
2000,
something.
so maybe 2001 or 2.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And the story actually is that he came with all these other, there were like 10 people there, and everybody that was there wanted to learn about the fish pond. And he didn't say a word. I just knew Kūpuna was in our group. I felt really fortunate that Uncle Fred was there. But everybody else was trying to gain information. Uncle Fred just sat there very silently. And little by little, as the day progressed, typical Kūpuna. Oh yeah, I used to live on a fish pond. Oh yeah, my father sold the fish. Oh yeah, so he starts telling us these stories about him and your family, right, that managed and operated the fish pond over here. Mahi Nui? What was the name of the fish pond that you lived
Mikiola?
on? Mikiola, yeah? Mikiola.
Yeah.
And so he started telling us these stories, and it was, to me, it was so profound. And out of all 10 people, he was the only one that came to volunteer and help. And that was like, to me, the most amazing thing is that I learned a lot. I learned, first of all, that, you know, Kūpuna, they might not say a lot, but they know a lot. So that was That was amazing, and I really appreciated Uncle Fred who recruited Willis.
Yeah, that's
And it
right.
was-
She was here when I came,
Yeah.
and you know,
Oh, it was
she
so
told me
great.
where to stand and what to say, and things of that nature. So
Oh, I just enjoyed being with them. They were so good, and they knew so much, and I learned so much being with them. And it was really, it was a special time for us. And we got to eat afterwards. Sometimes we'd bring food and eat, and yeah, it was really nice connecting, this place and with them. Yeah.
Yeah. So the first time I started coming here, it was just like this was my place.
Yeah.
Just for the home, that I would see something and I would go and do this, do that. Of course, if there's organized work day, then I would be with everybody. But I would come there 5 days a week, and then I would say, "Oh, this needs done. I'll do it." And that's the time. Not right away, but I came across the legend of Kūʻula-kai. Yeah, and read the things. And how Kūʻula-kai made the first fish pond in Maui, and it was successful. And all the different people in the different ahupuas wanted him to come and build fish ponds, which his son I took over and built fish ponds for the different people in the ahupua. And then not only did Maui, Lanai, Molokai, excuse me, and so I got here and looked, and this needs to be done. I went and done it. And one of the things that I'm sorry. One of the things that I started first was since I read about Kūʻula-kai and how his son carried on helping the different people in different ahupuas to build fish pond. How can we? They asked the son, how can we show you our appreciation for you helping us with making a fish pond? And is supposed to have answers to say, well, nothing for me, but if you will put up a stone on the east corner of the fish pond to honor my father, Kūʻula-kai, I'd be very happy. Oh, they said, put a stone? Oh, we can do that. All the people do. And so that came about. And that came about all over, wherever he helped. But then having read about Kūʻula-kai and and putting up the ku stone, I figured, hey, maybe I can find a ku stone. And there it was in the mud, a stone long shape, but lying on the mud outside the fish pond. I said, hey, it looked like something that's handmade, somebody worked on the stone by hand. It was shaped, okay? So I took a picture of it, sent it to Bishop Museum and asked, could this be the kind of stone that was used by the people to show appreciation to Kūʻula-kai and his son, to put up a stone for the Kūʻula-kai? And Bishop Museum said, yes, definitely. So somehow I got captured by it. I don't think I told anybody working here about it. On my own, I made the things that I needed to move the stone and whatnot. And I would do it with whatever we had. So I was just about ready. Then my daughter and her 2 daughters, she had a girlfriend, had the 2 daughters too. 6 of them came, and they came often, but they came that one particular day and said, "Hey, Grandpa," and my granddaughter, "Papa, I came to help you. What can we do?" And without thinking anything about it, I said, "Oh, how about moving a stone?" And they don't know any better. "Oh yeah, sure, we can move a stone." So then I walked them over there, and they said, "Where's the stone?" I said, "There's the stone about 20 feet away on the mud, long like that." I said, "That's the stone." They told me, "We can't move that." I said, "No, we can. We work together, we can." So I had already made the things out of netting and reinforced rope to put the stone onto, and I gave the rope to the ladies, and they would pull. I said, "You pull, the stone will roll." So the stone rolled until it came onto the fish pond wall. "Grandpa, now what? We cannot lift it up." I said, "No, we can do it. I'll be down. I'll be helping from underneath. You keep on pulling the way." So we pulled it up, get it up, stood it up on the fish pond wall, and there was a little depression. I stood it up in a depression and shook the stone, and it seemed to like a mother hen settling down, settling right in there, and there it stood like that.
Wow.
And okay, so this was up, and the thing is, I never thought of telling Herb this is what I was doing. I didn't tell anybody. I just went and done it, and selfish, but I never thought of anything. It's just that I saw it, I think it should be done, I'm going to do it. And then ever since I stood the stone up and all that, for the day following, every time I come down here, I would take a bucket, a coconut husk, and I would get salt water from the pond or from the bay, go to the stone, and I would scrub the stone. And as I was scrubbing the stone, I could feel like somebody's watching me from one side. I keep on going, then so it's watching me from here. I could feel that, and I don't know how to explain it, just that somebody seems to be watching me. And I kept on doing that, and I got that part finished and all that. Then the stone was near the 3rd makaha on this side. And about a week later, right inside of the fish pond by the 3rd makaha, there's a skiff loaded with limu on a bank, packages of plastic bags and all kinds of things. Like somebody would be working there, getting limu from the fish pond, put in a skiff, and they were going. And they had tied some of the limu in the plastic bag. They had it tied and with rope, and as though you would throw it into the bay and pull it, and then go over there and go away with the.
Fred, I think I remember that time, and if I recall, that they were poachers, right? The people behind that limu gathering were poachers.
Yeah, they actually were gathering through this side first, because they told me they would use the limu for fertilizing the farm in Kahuku.
Yeah, but they came in the middle of the night, didn't they?
They came in the middle of the at the time. At the beginning, it was coming daytime.
Yeah,
so
in
I
the
was to
beginning.
welcome them.
Yeah.
You know, because, hey, you use it for fertilizer? Yeah, help yourself.
Yeah.
And they used to do that.
That's a gorilla ogo?
Huh?
Was that the gorilla ogo they were taking?
Yeah.
Yeah. We had tons of it in those days. So we were giving it to a lot of the farmers. already, right? But I remember, yeah, the issue was they didn't ask for permission. But,
Yeah, that's
know,
what
but-
it was, I believe.
Maybe they, you know, Uncle Fred gave them the blessing. So,
Yeah.
you know, if they need it, they need them, you know.
Yeah, so that was going on. But now let's see where were we.
So thanks for sharing that story about the Kū stone, because that is really, really important, you know, in the history of the pond. And, you know, when you found that stone, I believe we were already into the second decade of actually restoring the pond. We were in, I think it's somewhere between the 12th and 15th year and we always wondered where it was. We knew it was on the east side, but it's very fitting to me that our most senior Kūpuna was the one that found it. So you were always meant to be the one to find it, I believe. You know?
Yeah, because he first came earlier and I came only in 1986 and after that.
Yeah.
So he first was ahead of me.
And if I recall correctly, you know, then the next stone would be the Hina stone. And I think that's the one that Willis found, right? Didn't
Well,
you?
I
Or we
was-
didn't know if it was the Hina stone.
Yeah,
but-
we couldn't determine whether it was the Hina stone or not, but it had the shape though of the Hina stone.
But you're
which
the
is-
one that found that, right?
Well, I don't think I was the first person, but I remember there was a flat stone. It was oval in shape with a lot of holes in it. And I read from the internet that's how the Hina stone appears.
Right.
And it was in the south west corner, the southwest
West,
corner
right.
of the pond.
So it was in the right place.
Yeah, it was in the right place. And the Kū stone would be on the northeast corner
Right.
of the pond. And
And I think Hina was found maybe a couple of years after Kū, right? Do you remember it that way?
A little longer than that, I
Okay.
think. Maybe 5 years.
Okay, maybe 5 years
Yeah.
after.
Yeah.
So,
Uh,
Uncle Fred, you know, in the time that you've been spending with us, you know, in the restoration of Waikalua, what are some of the things that stand out in your mind in terms of you're a former educator as well, principal. You know, what are some of the things that stand out for you as an educator about the importance of the fish pond?
I don't know, I didn't stop to think about it really.
Because you had many kids, you've seen many kids come through, you know, the fish pond over here, or work days, and anything, you think any importance of it or the value of it?
So I guess it was kind of funny because I was born and raised on a fish pond.
Yeah,
So whatever I saw here, it didn't seem new. You know, oh, it's here, okay, you know, you work with it. And that's how I started
yeah,
doing it. And yes, we did find other stones, like at that corner over there. There was a stone. The stone was a different kind of a stone. It's black, and it was almost in the fish pond. I said, we better get it up.
yeah.
Yeah, and there was a bunch of men working over there from, I don't know where they were for. I asked them, move it for me. They came, they looked at it, they walked, no, we're not going to move that stone. I said, why? There's something about it. I said, what? There are square holes on a stone.
Yeah.
So it's something else. I said, well, okay. Then the next time, the high school, Mid-Pacific High School kids came.
Yeah.
So I had a rope and the hey kids, I got a problem. I have this rope, I have the stone. You think you guys can move it up onto the bank? And they were all the high school kids saying, oh yeah, we can do that. Put it up. And yeah, we put it up and set it, and then I looked and then there were the square holes on it, you know. And a little later, we had a community workers come here, And I was telling a person about finding a stone like that. Then he said, wait. He said, hey, Ante, come here. Listen to Fred. Listen to him telling about it. So I was telling him about the stone, but they had the square corner holes and cut into it. And the lady said, oh, what I think is that was the stone where the mother, the child's pico fell off. She took the pico and put it in the square holes and prayed for the well-being of the son or the daughter that she had.
Mm.
Oh, wow. You know, you never know what you find.
Yeah.
But that's what was found over there.
Awesome.
So all in all, it was just like, because I was born and raised on a fish pond, things came like natural. I've seen it before kind of thing.
Yeah.
But
That's awesome.
I'm glad I was here at that time. I could have been elsewhere. I don't know.
So if you think about this, so one of the things why we're doing this today and filming all of this is to record it for history. So part of the theme is we're looking to the past to help chart our way forward, you know. So 100 years from now, when people are watching this, what message would you want to give the generations in the future about the value of fish ponds from your perspective? You know, born and raised on a fish pond, and how is that going to help the generations of the future, you think? What message would you want to share with them?
Well, it's kind of hard, but thinking, you know, from just my standpoint of born and raised on a fish pond and how I feel to a fish pond, I'm sure there were other people who felt the same way, yeah, and they preserved the fish pond in their way. I was here at that time, and that was it. But we used to, as I said, my father used to drive us on a boat, 13 kids. We had a 23-foot skiff, and he would drive us down. But the thing is that if it was very windy or rainy or high winds, we were not to wait for him to pick us up, we were to walk. And then we would come to the corner of the fish pond over there. Okay, which way we go, this way or this way? You know? And then, we went that way, but they always preferred to go this way because Mr. Nakamura was up here with gums and candy and big smile. But we used to go, so we knew where the macaws were and things like that. But yeah, I don't know, it was, for me, it was just carrying on the kind of life that I was kind of used to as a kid on a fish pond, born to a fish pond.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But do you think it's important for the next generations to also have the same feeling like you so that they continue to take care of it?
Yeah, I think what we should remember, like Kūʻula-kai, things like that that people put up and worship, how they felt towards the fish pond as part of their life. You cannot do it just for money's sake. At least from my standpoint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. What do you guys have other thoughts that you want to share, or you know, that you guys want to ask Uncle Fred? Because we all have different shared experiences over here. So.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I learned a lot about the fish pond through Fred, you know, and I was amazed that when I came and worked with Fred at the fish pond, it not only included serving as guides or docents for students visiting the fish pond, but we did a lot of maintenance work. And I was about 65 years old, and Fred was over 80. And I couldn't keep up with him. I could not keep up with him, you know, cutting down the mangrove and, you know, removing trash. And I was amazed at, you know, the shape he was in. And, you know, I always wondered, you know, am I ever going to be able to accomplish what he did when I reach 80? And I'm just about 80 now, and I hate to say it, but I'm not there. I'm not at the point where he was at that age.
I remember he was scolded us because when he saw the tools, you know, all of the hand saws and everything, and you know, after we pow, we just kind of watch them and we put them away, right?
Yeah,
we don't really, we never wasn't really taking good care of them, and then Uncle Fred was over there with the oil and everything, you know, and making sure that, you know, it doesn't rust. And we go, whoa, you know, that's right, you know. But so, I mean, just little things like that he would pay attention to, and just teach us how to do all of that again, and remind us that, you know, I mean, we never had any money, so whatever money we did get, we could buy tools, we had to take care of it, you know. So
I think that brings me, like what you're saying, I was just thinking of the word mayau, and mayau is kind of in Hawaiian, it just means, you know, whatever you do your very, very, very best to make whatever it is that you're doing, it's the best that you can be. And so it made me think, when I was thinking of Uncle Fred and all the tools, and you know, you had fishing nets and buckets, and we had a lot of equipment that had been donated, not much of it, but I think that's what you taught a lot of us here, is how to take care of what you have. Because I think, you know, back in my dad's time, when you had something, you had to make sure that you took care of it, because you're not going to get that. You know, you're not going to get that again. So you do your best to malama that, and I think that's a really good value that many of us here learn from you, both of you folks, about how to take care of whatever we have. And you know, even the teaching was another thing. You know, you're going to do your best to share with the EK with the students, and I think that kind of carried through for all of us. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
it's a reminder to everyone.
Yeah.
Right?
And there are many stories and stuff like that Uncle Fred taught us.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, how to take care of the sleeping grass, you know, without using any herbicides or anything like that. And I was going, Uncle Fred, what are you doing? He said, oh, yeah, I figured out, you know, we just use salt water. And, you know, we spray them and then they go away. I go, not. But he would call and say, oh, can I come and spray the sleeping grass today? I go for it.
I'll be back.
Yeah, just little things like that, right? And it was just fabulous.
Well, we think about, you know, our Kūpuna were innovators, right? I mean, to me, the fish pond is an innovation. They were amazing engineers. They understood the tides. They understood how the currents went, and they designed the fish ponds to take advantage of the land. And I felt like that. Uncle Fred, he goes, hey, guess what I did today? I'm like, what? I made salt. I go, what? And so he had this whole setup, equipment. You remember making salt, Hawaiian salt? You had a system set up. You remember, right? You had a system set up, and you showed me how you made salt. And I was like, oh my gosh, that is so brilliant.
You remember that?
I remember. It was pretty awesome.
I'm older, so I forgot.
The evaporation trays were just about here.
Right? They were right over here. That's right. Yeah. That was pretty cool. So learned a lot. You were an innovator.
Yeah, wonderful thoughts and memories, and good values to hopefully inspire the next generation, would you say?
Definitely.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I myself learned a lot about the fish pond by observing. Now, you know, it might take years and thousands of hours, but this is what I think our ancient Hawaiians did. They observed a lot about the fish pond. They learned about the ecosystem. Of course, they may not have called it the ecosystem. And they observed the life cycle of living things. And they adapted their ways to take advantage and being more in harmony with nature. And in that way, the fish pond came about. You know, for example, they learned that the ama, that's a mullet. For those of you not familiar, finds its way up the stream to spend part of its life cycle. So the Hawaiians must have. Kauhua mentioned that too to me early on when I visited here, that they observed the ama going up the stream, and what they did was they adapted the fish pond so that the pua, or the young juveniles, could enter the fish pond on its way to the stream, because what they did was they allowed the stream to enter the fish pond from the Mauka side.
Right.
So, you know, to me that's what we call today maybe bioengineering.
Yeah.
You know,
Recreating that where the mullet was going upstream.
That's right.
Recreating it in the context of a pond, right?
Yeah, and we confine them into the fish pond, you know. So, you know, and I'm still learning about what they did. And I reveal to you, for example, how I see different parts of the fish pond differently. After spending years and thousands of hours, you know, observing what's going on. So, anyway, I just
So
thought I
maybe
wanna
one of the
mention
other
that.
lessons is about, you know, what I'm hearing from you guys is that, you know, and we've heard this before, right? Learning is lifelong. And even
right.
in our sort of retirement years, there's still so much more to learn. And I feel like even in the last 26 years, all this knowledge that, because there was no manuals for when we started
That's
this.
right.
Nobody gave us okay, this is how you restore an ancient Hawaiian fish pond, right? But I still feel like, you know, 26 years later, we've only learned this much. There's still way more to learn. And that's the beauty of, to me, you know, looking at fish ponds with a different perspective, that it has much more to offer us, especially when we're trying to do things like adapt to global climate change, do things like how to, you know, all the nearshore fisheries, all the ponds are not propagating fish like they were. How do we get back to that? You know, we're so in the 2021, you know, if the ships stop coming, we're 80-90% dependent on them for food, you know? And how do we get back to what our ancestors were doing when they were totally independent from any ships? You know, can we, is the question, you know? And then, so we need this knowledge to be able to hopefully get us back to that. Do you think?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we can, is what I would like to say. I feel like we can. I remember when we were first on this journey, we were looking at, in particular, our local and it wasn't a viable, at the time, a viable place to actually grow and be able to make food available for our community. But in my heart, I should say, I really believe that if we can move in that direction, there are a couple of local ia'as that are, you know, they're
Getting
growing
there.
food and they're getting there, right? But I would love to see us, because like you said, we're so reliant on that Matson container coming to this island and feeding us. What the hell? I'm sorry, but what the hell, you know? We should be growing our own food. We've got, I mean, we have land, we have the resources to grow our own food, and I really believe that we should lessen our dependency on that Matson container. And to me, this whole thing with COVID was a really good example of many of us just saying, you know what, to hell with this. I'm going to start growing my own food and backyard gardening. And I feel like if we can do more even of that, and even some of the Malama groups, continue to grow more food so that we can make it available to our community, that is super powerful. And that's where we should be headed. And I hope that our next generation, and beyond will look at that as a tool, a learning tool to be able to move forward.
Yeah.
Because it's important. Yeah.
So I'm hoping that as we kind of end this part of our discussion, that in the eyes of Uncle Fred, that we are leaving Waikalua better than we found it 26 years ago. Do you have a comment to make about that, Uncle Fred?
Yeah. Something I want to talk about. I don't know. I learn some things every time. I had a problem at home. I had plastic. What do you call it? Plastic rolls of plastic. Anyway, from Kahea fish pond, where limu was stuck on top of it.
Yeah.
So I took it home because all limu on top of it. What a humbug! And nearby my place, there's a right-of-way to the bay. There's an opening. So I got that plastic thing with all the limu on top, and I spread it out this way, and then I'm gonna wash it down. And I gotta bring fresh water and wash this thing out. Get salt water over here. So I start pumping the salt water and washing the screen with the salt water. And about
That was seawater, right? From the
ocean
bay.
water.
Ocean
water, yeah. So, about 3 days later I come back, the limu all dried up and fell out. Then I look below that, there was a big bush of Hila grass. Yeah, about 5 feet wide, about 50 feet long. I didn't think anything, but I just had spread it over it. Then when I shot the salt water on all of the screen, and when I came to clean up, all the Hila grass disappeared.
It's the sleeping grass, yeah.
Yeah. I said, oh,
that's how you figure that out.
Yeah, accidentally. And then I think, hey, that's good. Hila grass over here. If the kids walk around and bother them, it should be. So that's how it started. But my leg jammed up and I couldn't continue. But I will be back.
I had a wish list all the time I spent here. There were 3 things. Actually 4. We managed to get 2 right off the bat, and that was the container where we kept the tools.
Yeah.
Because before that, I used to depend on Fred to bring the tools to the fish pond, because he had a truck and all the tools.
I remember that.
Yeah. So the container for the shipping container for tool storage. The other thing is a portable toilet over there. Because we didn't have any portable toilets when we first came here. Yeah. But for the future, since you brought it up, I would like to see a classroom. I always thought a classroom would be a real neat thing to have at the fish pond, because there were times when it would rain cats and dogs here.
Yeah.
And it would be a shame to have the students, pile back into the bus and drive back to campus when they could remain at the fish pond and giving a presentation indoors, like in a classroom. So, that's an important part that we could have. And then the fourth thing, maybe more important than anything else, was a roll-off. I always felt, gee, do I need a roll-off? Because, Fred and I would do a lot of weeding, and there's no place to put all the cuttings, And,
well, we have used roll-offs over the years.
right, we have.
For
we
that,
have.
as well as all of the opala that
Yeah.
comes up on the shore from all over Kaneohe Bay.
I wanted one with my name on it.
Oh, okay.
That's what I wanted.
I'll work on that.
Leave a legacy.
But the
Olaf.
good news is that we got the
Willis's roll-off.
money. We are going to be building a classroom. The state legislature gave us money, and then Weinberg Foundation just gave us some more money, just in the last few months. Thank you to them for us to complete. Now we have all of the resources to build a state-of-the-art classroom in the
nice.
back of the pond.
Oh,
And
can't wait.
We're hopefully going to start construction within the next couple months. We're just all here yesterday with the contractor, and they're ready to go. So, this COVID time has kind of put a damper on a lot of the permits, but that's a whole nother story. But so I'm hoping that we can fulfill all of your 4 wishes because that's going to help us. And do you have any final wish that you have for us, Uncle Fred?
Huh?
Do you have any final wish for us that you want to see?
No, just an aside. Salt water can kill a lot of grass that's in your yard.
Okay.
All the junk grass.
Yeah.
The lawn grass will survive, but any other kind of grass growing, you'll kill it. And just salt water.
Yeah, you're definitely
Fred-
the expert on that one.
Fred would really appreciate an ATV, an all-terrain vehicle,
Well, we have the gator,
Oh, okay.
but I mean, that would be fun.
Yeah.
Kauhua, you have any final wishes that you want to share?
No,
Since we're talking about wishes.
wishes.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like the more we bring our kids out here, the better it is for us and the future of fish ponds. I feel like that's the next generation who's going to carry on this legacy.
Right.
Is our keiki. So
Yeah.
I feel very grateful I'm part of this hui.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys.
Yeah.
Are we good?
Yep.
Final thoughts?
Yeah.
Good.
Okay. Aloha. Thank you very much. We're pal.
Thank you.
There's Uncle Hal over there.
Hi, Hal.